It's Friday, I just got home from work. That can mean only one thing. It is time for this episode of Top 5 Friday. This episode, we're going to be taking a look at a very underlooked genre on the N64, but one which has some absolutely awesome games. Today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 N64 puzzle games. In at 5th place, we do have a game which I don't actually currently own at the moment, but I have played numerous times, and that is the new Tetris. The new Tetris is basically a reproduction or a remake of the original Game Boy game. It doesn't add anything particularly new to the mix, but all it does is update the graphics and make it completely playable on your N64. What you can do is you can unlock different parts of the world as backgrounds and as the music as well, but generally the actual gameplay is left pretty much untouched. It doesn't really do anything to move the series along, but it is still Tetris that we all know and love, and that's why I only finished at number 5 on my list. In at number 4, I chose to go with Wetrix. Wetrix is a really interesting physics-based puzzle game involving water. It starts off quite easy, but like really good puzzle games, it quickly becomes quite difficult, and you really have to think how the actual water moves around the actual level. And also during the gameplay, there's different environmental things that spring up to challenge you, and they can completely change the game as you're playing it, and you might think you're really close to finishing a level and something happens. It's a really great puzzle game, and it's also a 2-player puzzle game as well, so you can play it with your friends. In at number 3, I chose Tetris Sphere. Tetris Sphere is often overlooked, and a lot of people do think it is just going to be another Tetris game, but it's actually a 3D spherical based Tetris game. So you've got the Tetris blocks falling towards the surface, and you've actually got to move the dome around, move the pieces so that they fit complete layers around the actual sphere itself. And it makes a really nice, interesting twist on the actual, typical Tetris genre. It's a really interesting game. It can get really difficult on some of the higher levels, but it's a game that if you haven't already played it, it's really cheap to find, and it's definitely one that you'll have some good few hours fun with. In at number 2, I chose Bust-A-Move, and for this version I went for Bust-A-Move 3DX. There's also Bust-A-Move 2, and if you live in America, there's Bust-A-Move 99 as well. My personal favourite of the series is Bust-A-Move 3DX, and it's the one that I've spent the most time playing. Everybody's played the typical puzzle bubble type game. Bust-A-Move doesn't really do anything graphically groundbreaking, or particularly in the gameplay either, but it is a really solid, fun game. Again, like the others, it is available in multiplayer, and it gets really difficult. One thing that I always liked with the Bust-A-Move games are that you can choose your own route through the game as you're playing the one-player mode. So there are multiple routes to take, and the game changes accordingly, so there are lots of levels for you to play as, and particularly in 2-player, it's really good fun because you can actually challenge each other and send balls between each other, so it can lead to really fierce multiplayer games, and it's great fun easy for people that aren't used to playing many puzzle games to quickly jump into, and they'll be able to play it with you. Now, my number 1 best puzzle game on the N64 is Space Station Silicon Valley. Now, if you haven't played this is again really cheap to buy generally, but it's one that I do think is going to rise in price when people realise it's one of the hidden gems on the console. Space Station Silicon Valley is a really quirky game, and some people class it as a platformer, but the actual heart of the game is based around puzzles. What you do is you actually play the game as a microchip, but you have to use it to go inside, which sounds really weird. You have to go inside different animals, take control of them, but you also take on that animal's abilities, and you need to do this different times during the level in order to get to the ultimate goal. It is a really fun game, and one that you will really be thinking about because it is a 3D environment. You'll be thinking about how you need to get to each part of the level and which animal you'll need to go into in order to move to complete the stage. What's really great about this game as well, it's got a really great learning curve. So it starts off relatively easy with only needing 1 or 2 animals in order to be able to finish the level. But then as you get into some of the later levels, you really need to start thinking, and it's going to give you a great challenge. So what are your top 5 puzzle games for the N64? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've got a suggestion for next week's theme, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to thumbs up the video, and I'll be back soon, but I'm actually going to be on Italy for the next week or so at my friend's wedding. So I won't be replying to your comments just yet, but I'll do it as soon as I get back on my return. Thanks for watching, and have a great weekend.